Hey, welcome to a long overdue episode of Chad's Beer Podcast. This week I'm talking to Jesse of Bumpyisms. What's going on, man?
What's happening, Chad?
So, like this is funny because usually when I do the podcast with somebody, we just did a beer review. We did Sam Adams Boston Lager versus Von Trapp Vienna, but our review, the Tuesday Night Beer School, will go up after the podcast. So people already watched the podcast, but they haven't watched the beer review yet. And for us, it's the other way around because we already know what we thought about these beers. So no spoilers. I remember you when did you first get on YouTube? Because I remember seeing you back when I still lived in Albany, so it had to be like at least 2014 or so, right?
Yeah, I actually don't remember. It was because I was never planning on doing a YouTube channel. It was just I was following some YouTubers, and then they kind of shouted me out as if I had a YouTube channel. And so then I felt obligated to start one up. So I kind of went into it just like, what the heck am I going to do while I'm homebrewing?
Yeah.
I'll do some homebrew stuff. But then I started realizing the amount of time, that goes into it. I was like, I'm going to be putting out like a video maybe once a month if I'm lucky. And so then I decided, well, I drink beer. Let's jump aboard with the beer review stuff. So yeah, I don't remember exactly when it was, but I think I've been on YouTube for at least 5 years now.
Well, I brought up your this is your YouTube channel here.
Yeah.
So let's sort by oldest. Starting over is hard. It says 6 years ago.
Yeah, I did start over.
Did you make videos and then you like deleted them all? Or?
I decided I was done with YouTube.
This says August 3rd, 2018.
Yeah.
Hey, you didn't have a beard there.
Nope. I think I was skinnier too.
Yeah, so it looks like you were doing a lot of homebrewing or I used to have one of those Gatorade mash tuns or whatever.
Yeah. I still have it. It's just out in the shed.
Oh yeah, so we were talking off camera, and you said you haven't homebrewed in a few years.
Yeah. So it was pandemic. During the pandemic, I did have a homebrew store just down the road from me. Maybe they went out of business because I wasn't homebrewing anymore. But yeah, it was this whole thing with my fermentation. I have a fermentation fridge right over there. It used to be right behind me. Done a little updating to the beer room. But yeah, it became one of those things where we, I'm not sure how many months into the pandemic it was, but when you go out to the grocery store and you started noticing that there was a lack of stuff on the shelves, so we decided my fermentation fridge became a normal fridge and freezer again, and stocked up so much, and then just kept having food in it. Even after the pandemic ended, there's still stuff in the freezer, because we just keep restocking it. So then I kind of stopped with the home brewing.
Yeah, I can see the taps behind you.
Yeah.
So do you have kegs, or is that just for show now?
Those are, I have four Italian kegs in there. They're all empty at this point.
Like homebrewing kegs or keg of commercial beer?
Yeah, so they'd be like corny keg type, but yeah, they were so 5-gallon kegs.
Yeah, I did that briefly. I don't know if you were around for those days. You watched me when I lived in Albany, right?
Yeah. When I first got into watching beer reviews on YouTube, yeah, you were, I think, my first show I actually watched, and I used to watch it religiously, probably because I had a lot of catching up to do. I think you had like a good 6 or 7 years already, and so it was Yeah, it was like 3 or so episodes every single day I was watching.
Didn't your channel, it was called Bumpy Road Brewery when you first started?
When I first started, like, yeah, it was one of those. So where I live, the road's been paved since, but it was like full of potholes and everything.
Right.
So it was a kind of a bumpy road. So it was like a double entendre because life's a bumpy road as well. You have a lot of
Right.
hills and valleys. So I thought it fitting, and I was homebrewing at the time, so that's why I named my brewery was Bumpy Road Brewery. And yeah, then the whole Bumpy name stuck. People started calling me Bumpy. So
That's what I was
but yeah,
calling you.
once I get out of the kind of homebrewing thing, still have all my equipment. I'll get back into it eventually. I have a grandson now, though. He's too young. He comes over all the time, so I don't want to deal with that. It takes a lot of time.
You have a
homebrew and stuff
grandson?
before, so yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
he's 2. So
I thought, how old are you?
how old am I? I'm
Yeah.
43.
Wow. Okay. You're already on grandkids. I have 0 kids. I don't even have kids yet, not let alone grandkids. Yeah, and you're in New Hampshire? Is that
New
right?
Hampshire, yeah.
Is that where you grew up?
Kind of, sort of. I was born in New Hampshire, raised in Maine.
Oh, okay.
And then, yeah, after graduating, moved back to New Hampshire. Been here ever since. So
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have like the New England accent, like "Park the car at the Harvard Yard."
oh yeah, and that's way up there in Bahaba.
Are you closer to like Massachusetts or Canada?
Massachusetts. Yeah, I'm a
Okay.
southern New Hampshire. So
You know, I went on a road trip. Well, it was way back in 2014 with my girlfriend Renee at the time, and like we went to Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Boston. Um, yeah, I remember Portsmouth, New Hampshire is like a really nice beer town. How far is
yeah.
that from where you are?
Well, I mean, we do everything's based off of how long it takes you to get there versus the actual miles.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's about an hour,
Okay. Yeah, that's not too
15,
far.
depending on
Although,
traffic. Yeah,
yeah.
you go during the beach season, you're going to be stuck on 101 for a while because it's going to be backed up. But
You're in a small town? Well,
yeah,
I guess every town in New Hampshire is small, right?
yeah. I mean, we got Vegas, which is the largest city in New Hampshire. It's Manchester. Um, but yeah, a lot of rural, just small town.
Yeah.
Basically, when we moved here, because I have moved around a little bit throughout New Hampshire and stuff, but I basically describe this town as like the beginning of a Stephen King novel.
Yeah. Yeah. He's from Maine.
Yeah,
So that's a,
yeah.
you know,
You just got those nice houses, and they put up the flags and stuff during the 4th of July, and then you get all the wreaths and stuff that go up during Christmas, and it's a nice little town.
the room you're in now, is that like a basement or is it like a
No,
separate
so this is
shed?
some people would call it like a mud room.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Like
I got
between the
a
garage and
washer and dryer right over here. Back when I had
yeah.
my fermentation chamber, which is it's a fridge and freezer repurposed.
Mhm.
People used to think I was out in my kitchen. They're like, "Oh, you're just out in your kitchen." It's like, no, my kitchen's that way. But yeah, it's a mud room, a laundry room. I call it my beer room because
Yeah, man cave.
I'm into bourbons, whiskeys, stuff now too. So
You ever tried homebrewing whiskey?
no, that's illegal, Chad.
I think it's legal as long as you don't sell it, like homebrew.
I don't know. It's the distilling thing, You don't want to blow
Yeah.
yourself up.
Yeah, distilling is, to me, it's too dangerous. 'Cause like if you screw up, like you're gonna go blind or something. At least with beer, the worst that could happen is it's gross. You just dump it,
Yeah. We've
Do you ever
done
have
that plenty of times.
infected batches?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I did one it was really frustrating. I did one. I based it off. I used to have a Trailblazer SS, and had a 6.0 liter V6 with the LS2 engine. It was 364 cubic inches. So I made a beer called 364 Small Block. It was an Imperial IPA, and I basically, I used a Beersmith. But I made it so that the bitterness units would equal out to 364. It was a lot of hops.
Wow.
A lot of hops. Plus I was shooting for like, a high ABV beer and everything. And that cost me close to $200 to brew. And it got infected. I had to dump it.
Oh. Was bacteria or Brett or both?
Yeah, I think it was what happened was the yeast didn't take off, and that gave it time for any wild, because I don't have like a closed system brewing, so it's all you siphon out, and so you have plenty of oxygen surface for the beer to come in contact with. And
open fermentation.
Yeah, it wasn't quite open fermentation, but it was just because the yeast didn't take right away, it gave plenty of time for any airborne yeast or bacteria to.
That's happened to me when I lived in Albany. I never had any fermentation issues, I think like one batch actually. My friend and I were trying to make a Belgian black IPA, and didn't really turn out that way. And actually, there was a few beers that I made that where the yeast stalled, and it was because I was going for like 6.5, 7% ABV, and it like got like 4 1/4 or something like that. It was a fine session beer, but just kind of tasted like wort. Like the taste of unfermented beer.
Yeah,
actually, it's funny. A lot of non-alcoholic beer to me tastes like the way wort tastes. Have you
I'm not a fan, like mentioned in the, I guess what will be coming up on Tuesday. So make sure you watch Chad's beer reviews for his Tuesday beer school, and for the Vienna Lagers. But I mentioned kind of a little bit, like I don't really care for like super sweet beers. Sometimes they become too cloying, and that's the way that the malt, that's because everybody, you gotta drink your wort, when you're done, taste it, see how your beer is gonna come. I was always like, it's just super sweet and nasty.
Yeah, so it's amazing. Like most people will never like appreciate that, of the difference of the way beer tastes before and after fermentation. Like when you cook it on the stove, or when I first started, I was doing extract on the stove, and then eventually I got to do an all grain outside with a propane burner. And because like when you make all that liquid, like that's the wort. And like a lot of brewers say, like brewers make wort and yeast makes beer. So it's like, because it's not beer until you throw the yeast in there and let it ferment for a couple of weeks or whatever. It's just a night and day difference in the way that the wort tastes compared to the actual beer taste.
Yeah.
And I started doing, Teetotaler Thursday about a year ago. And I don't know what it is, because I mean, the way that most brewers make non-alcoholic beer is they just take finished beer like this, and they not so much boil it, but they heat it up to like, I think about 180, and that's like when the alcohol boils off before the water boils off. It's almost like a form of like reverse distillation. But I don't know, different breweries have like different techniques. I don't know, did you try the Sierra Nevada, any of their non-alcoholics?
I don't drink non-alcoholic beer, so I probably tried one because somebody had one or something. Maybe at like a I have done BeerTube Palooza. We may have done like a blind taste test. Like, oh, what do you think the style is and all that? You know, how much? What's the ABV? You're not thinking that it's a non-alcoholic. So yeah, probably at least 5%.
0.5.
Yeah.
Well, if you can get it, try the Sierra Nevada Trail Pass IPA. It just tastes like a regular Sierra Nevada IPA.
All right, I'll buy just one can of
also,
it.
The Guinness non-alcoholic. The Guinness non-alcoholic tastes like regular Guinness. It's like maybe like a little bit drier, but like it doesn't have like that twang. It's hard to describe. I just call it twang, like the way like
I've had gluten-free beers.
Yeah, those are usually gross.
Yeah, it almost tastes like apple cider.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I remember when I lived in Albany, the guy who ran the beer store I went to, he started his own gluten-free brewery called Steadfast. I don't know if you ever had Steadfast IPA or any of their beers, but like they were, you know, sorghum based, but they didn't taste like Red Bridge or Greens. You ever had either of those? Red Bridge is like Budweiser's gluten free.
I've definitely seen Red Bridge. I don't think I've ever. Have I had it?
Well, you're not missing anything if you haven't had it.
Yeah, I went to we have in Merrimack, New Hampshire, we do have an Anheuser. I never get that right. Yeah. Is it AM or AN?
Anheuser.
So we do have a brewery there.
AB.
I may have had it there. You know, you go through the tour, you get like 3 samples of beer or something like that. The green I've definitely seen. I may have had a green. I think we did that. I think we did that on my live stream years ago.
It's funny. I brought it. So let me show you your channel again. Here we go. So I sorted your videos. If you go by most popular, oops, sorry, that's live. Videos popular. There's all these frozen pizza reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like your banner says subscribe for pizza and beer.
Yeah.
So maybe
the frozen pizza thing. Notice the most popular one's Motor City. So what occurred one night was we do family night for food here, and most of the time we're cooking something. You know, I smoke. I have a smoker. I got a Blackstone griddle. You know, we cook stuff on the stove. Most of the time we're just doing like a nice meal. You know, but every now and then you just get so busy and it's going to be family dinner night. It's like, oh, we can just let's just grab some frozen pizzas. You know, so my stepdaughter was at the store. And everybody loves the Motor City. Like that's one pizza like everybody can just agree on. So she was walking around the store and she's like, they're out of Motor City. What do I do? And I was freaking out. No frozen. So I forgot what she ended up picking up, but or maybe we just ordered pizza. That may have been what it came down to. But that kind of sparked the idea of I should probably try to find like, hey, if the Motor City's not available, what other frozen pizzas are there out there? So started doing the frozen pizza reviews, and hence the bumpyisms, the name change, because it was more than just me doing like beer reviews or brewing. So
right. By the way, I just I did a search on your channel for beer tubers, because I remember, you mentioned like meeting other beer tubers. Yeah. So you've met the guys from Finger Lakes Brewing and East Coast LQ. Yeah,
East Coast. Tanner, he's a good friend of mine. visit him sometimes down in Rhode Island. He's been up to my place.
Where was this held?
That was in Albany, New York.
Oh man, that was. Of course, you wait until after I leave.
Yeah.
Wasn't Matt from Massive Beers?
Matt,
that looks like Joe from Beer Patrol.
Joe from Beer Patrol was there. The Nerd Sense guys, Sean and Mike, were there.
Oh yeah, I see.
You got the other one, the other Joe, which everybody refers to as the Cool Joe. He used to do YouTubing, or beer tubing, whatever you want to call
Joe
it.
D.
But, what's that?
Joe D.
Yeah, I don't know his last name. I met him there, so I didn't know about him before. But he's a professional brewer now, so he stopped with the whole.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Who else was there? Oh, Keith. 93 Lumber.
Yeah, isn't he from the West Coast?
Keith? No, he's I think he's like near Vermont or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For some reason, I always thought he was like in Portland or Seattle or something. He loves what?
Smoked beers, like any type of a smoky beer. He really enjoys that.
I love. I mean, who doesn't love smoke? I don't know if you're listening to. Do you listen to any beer podcasts?
No, no podcasting for me except now. I guess
check out like All About Beer. Actually, I had John Hall on my show last summer, and like in every podcast he plugs, like he has a Facebook group called This Week in Rausch Beer or Rauch Beer, and it's just like any smoked beer news. And speaking of which, I have this. I thought I got this one on Tavor. I don't know if can you guys get this? It's from Brewery Baja Bana. I think they're from North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina.
I'm just gonna say no.
Okay.
I think the only thing that I've seen from they're probably actually out of Georgia. I don't know. What are the ones with is that Ford? They do like the 420 stuff.
Oh, Sweetwater?
Yeah, Sweetwater.
Yeah. Well, anyways, this one I bought because it said Belgian quad, and I didn't realize it until I bought it or until I got it. I don't know if it's gonna pick up on camera. But I don't know if you can see like right here. Sorry, the labels. It says Cherrywood Smoked Quad. So I've never seen somebody use smoked beer in a Belgian quad or any kind of Belgian beer for that matter. But that should be interesting.
Have I had a smoked?
Speaking of Sweetwater, here's one right here they sent me.
Yeah, where are they at now? I know it's down south.
Yeah, they're out of Athens, Georgia.
They are out of Georgia, okay.
But they're also they got bought out by Tilray, and I think they're owned. I don't think it's the same company as New Belgium, but it's like it's the same company
as Canadian. Like they do.
Yeah, I think they're Canadian.
That stuff.
Yeah, I think they're like THC seltzers or something like that. But they send me beer all the time, so I mean, if they're gonna send me beer, I'll drink it.
Yeah.
And Montauk Brewing, and actually I saw on Brewbound. Well, I saw on their Instagram. Brewbound I'm sure it's a great news source for beer, but it's behind a paywall. Like there's no way to read it for free, and it's like $500 a year or something. I know. I was like, I don't know who's paying to read this. I was like, I'll give you $5, not 500. You know?
Yeah. Do you get something other than just the book?
I know for $500 a year, it better come with like free beer or like a case. Like, can I get a Sam Adams Utopia or something?
Right.
You ever had that beer?
No, I had a chance to purchase it though for the going rate of back in the day. I think it was like $2.25. Went to a Sam Adams tour down in their store area. They had it on sale.
You ever been to their Boston headquarters.
Yeah, I guess their brewery in Boston.
Yeah, it's like their R&D facility because like their actual breweries like in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
actually, I think they have like 2 or 3 breweries. Yeah, I think one's in Cincinnati and one's in Pennsylvania, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, they're out of Ohio originally.
Yeah. Yeah, actually if you look on your Sam Adams bottle here, let's see. Brewed by Boston Beer Company, Boston, Massachusetts, Cincinnati, Ohio, Milton, Delaware. That's Dogfish Head.
Yeah.
And Brenningsville, Pennsylvania. Oh, Latrobe, Pennsylvania. So they have
did
5 breweries now?
Victory. They merged with somebody, didn't they?
Did they? Well, I know Victory and Southern Tier merged.
That's who they okay.
Yeah. I don't think that because I know, yeah, Sam Adams and Dogfish Head merged. Or well, because like actually Sam Adams is a like subsidy of Boston Beer Company, which also makes Twisted Tea and Angry Orchard.
Yeah.
And they actually make most of their money now on Twisted Tea.
Wow. I thought that stuff went under. I haven't seen it in years.
Oh, really? It's pretty huge around here. Like, I don't know if are you ever trying the seltzers like White Claw or
yeah, I've tried the White Claw. I never liked them. Somebody that I know asked me to do a review on White Claw. So I said, I do have some in the fridge because the wife was like all into flavored seltzers, and we bought a bunch, and then she never drank them. So I had some like old White Claw. I did a video on. It was horrible.
I think the appeal of like the hard seltzers, I think it's like kind of like and it's also like now they have like hard Arizona iced tea, hard Monster, hard Mountain Dew, like these hard sodas and stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're like kind of like appealing to like female drinkers who don't like, regular beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my ex-girlfriend Christina, she loves that stuff. Although actually she loves the like the fruited sours. Can you get Urban Artifact where you are?
We did for a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because now they have
it was like 1 month and then they stopped showing up.
Yeah, like they're kind of like the pioneers of like the kettle sour, like, and also the smoothie sour, where like there's like actual like fruit pulp in the can, and it's like has like the thickness of like a daiquiri or like maybe not a protein shake, but something like thick like that. And I don't even think like it's really beer. I did one of those smoothie sour reviews last year. It was funny because like it was a pumpkin cobbler, but it was also sour. So it was really interesting, and I thought it was delicious, but I don't think it's beer because like it's like, I mean, to me, it's just like all the fruit is and all the additives are creating for all the flavor, whereas like actual beer, like you could squirt some like cherry syrup in there, and like it's gonna be cherry flavored beer, but like it's still beer. I usually always start out asking people like where they're from and like how they first got into beer. So you're slightly younger than me. Like what's your come to beer story?
All right. Well, regular beer. That started with the
DMC,
Miller Genuine Draft stuff. All that started with my dad. I was a young kid, and yeah, he'd always be drinking. So get a swig in here and there, but and then as you grow up, stupid little parties and stuff you'd end up at. But then as you venture on, if you start to get into craft, I kind of did this on my own, kind of venture, and I thought it was craft, but it's technically not, because the definition, you probably know better than me, the definition of what makes a craft brewery, what keeps it as craft versus being a
macro. Yeah.
A macro. But I saw these beers like Hoegaarden, and
That's a good one.
yeah. What else was I getting? Oh, Killian's. The Killian's Irish Red, So I was like, oh, I'm drinking craft, because it was different than the,
it wasn't fizzy yellow beer. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I took a venture one day. I was at a Ruby Tuesday. I was at a Ruby Tuesday, and they had Dogfish Head 60-minute on tap. Never heard of it. I'd never had an IPA in my life. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Let me try one of those. And my first sip of it was like, oh, this is horrible. To me, it tasted like it was like sucking on a penny. It was like, who would drink this? But
yeah,
I paid for it. I finished the glass. By the end of that glass, I asked for another pour. It just kind of hit me like I actually started liking it by just one glass. So it went from this is horrible to, ooh, actually, my palate kind of likes this. What got me into going into like searching other styles, like just going like everything, whatever I could find, was home brewing. My wife actually got me into home brewing because I think it was Christmas. It was either Christmas or my birthday. Back in 2000, and I think it was 2001, 2011. 2010, 2011. She picked up a homebrew kit for me, just a Mr. Beer kit. And yeah, and I brewed my first batch of beer out of that. And then it was like, you could just look up all these different styles, and it's like, well, if I'm going to be brewing these different styles, I want to know, like, what are they supposed to taste like? What should I be shooting for? And then it was just, constantly going out and picking up as much variety of craft beer as I possibly could. Spending a lot more money than I ever did on beer as well. So,
yeah, it's funny you mentioned Dogfish Head 60-minute, and I mean, it wasn't that beer for me, but it was definitely IPAs that like really turned me on to like craft beer. Because I remember specifically, like when I was in the Navy and I was in Virginia, my parents and my brother came down to visit, and they were going to stay with me for like 3 or 4 days. And I was I don't know if I texted or emailed my brother or something. I said, what kind of beer do you like? Because I'll get something to keep in the fridge. And he said, can you get Magic Hat down there? And I said, okay, I'll go look. So I went to the store and I got a Magic Hat mix pack. And I just like, we're just like playing cards, watching TV, and I'm just grabbing random beers out of the box. Like I never heard of them. I had no idea what I was drinking. It was just nice to drink something new, I just remember the first time I poured an IPA, like I smell it and it's like all grapefruit. I'm like, oh, it smells great. It smells like citrus. And it's funny because like, you said, you had the reaction a lot of people do, just like, oh my God, this is gross, But for me, it was the opposite. I was like, oh my God, this tastes like citrus juice, but it's like bitter. It's like these two conflicting flavors. Cause like you when you think juice, you don't think bitter, you think like sweet, And so I mean, did you ever get into, so do you have like a style, like do you like dark beer or hoppy beer or Belgian lager, or do you like, because I would say at this point I'm an appreciator of everything. Like in this fridge right here, like just pick a random style out, just name a style. There's probably a bottle in there of that style. So like do you have a favorite style, or do you just like everything now?
I mean, I drink pretty much almost everything. There's probably more styles that I like than I dislike. Like, I'm not like a huge fan of Dunkel.
Don't go lager?
But I like porters and I like brown ales. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
just something, but I'm also not a fan of most red ales either, reds or ambers typically. But I've had some. But I've had some like there's been, I think it's Sullivan's or something like that. It does a nice Irish
the Irish
red.
one.
Yeah, it was like really really good. And but then I've had really really bad ones too. They're not bad. I just, to my palate, don't really care for them. Yeah, I mean, I drink a ton. I mean, I live in New England. We get a ton of. It's like
hazies.
It's mostly what you see is New England IPAs. I've noticed a big decline in the. I don't know if it's quality or if it's just everybody's reaching out for the newest thing. And when you've had these things have been going on for what now, a couple decades, the New Englands. You know, you're getting some new hop varieties. I think people are just trying to, or brewers, trying to put something out that's different. But I find a lot of the ones that are coming out that are made differently, it's like, nah, it's not the New England IPAs that I fell in love with. There are just still hitters and stuff that come out, but
what's your favorite examples of the hazies or the New Englands or whatever you?
There's examples of it. You're talking about like the breweries themselves, or just like
or actual
profile
beers? Because like, I mean, I'm sure you've had Heady Topper, right?
Yeah, I really like Heady Topper. I actually did
Can you get that in stores where you live? Or do you have to like go to Vermont to get that?
I have to go to Vermont to get it.
Okay, yeah. That's
I
still a chase.
I did a head-to-head between Heady Topper and Følkebanger because a lot of people prefer Følkebanger over Heady Topper. And I was always
I've heard that. I've never had the Følkebanger.
Yeah, I still prefer the Heady Topper over Følkebanger. It's just it may be just a little bit of like a nostalgic type thing, where Heady's known as kind of the start to all the New England IPA, even though it's completely different than most of what's being brewed today.
It's like super bitter.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where like, yeah, it's 110 IBUs, but it doesn't drink like it's that, that bitter. It's not like you get like some West Coast IPAs out there and just the way that it hits with the malt and everything. Sometimes those seem to be a lot more bitter. But and it's not murky either. It's just, it's kind of like an unfiltered look. It's barely a hazy.
It's cloudy.
So yeah, I think a lot of the New England IPAs that I really like are the ones that I would call murky or milky. They get that kind of real soft look to them, and they're
like Other Half and Equilibrium and
Fidens.
Actually, a lot of them, like, they're putting like lactose, oats, or wheat into the beer to like cloud it up, thicken it up, fluffy it up.
I go with heavy oat and wheat. When I homebrewed and made New England IPAs, that was kind of the formula. No lactose. That's not tolerated. I know a lot of breweries they do it, but I don't consider that. I think that's kind of cheating, and it adds that extra sweetness to it that I don't really care for.
I have all these crazy beer can labels here, and I'm trying to find one. Oh, here's that pumpkin cobbler I was telling you about. So Other Half. Yeah, they have all these hazies named after vegetables and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like one of them, and I think I have the label here somewhere. They have one called cream of broccoli. Well, this is regular broccoli. But this is kind of like the it's hazy of the moment, or maybe it used to be. I'm trying to, where's that other one? Oh yeah. Or so double dry hop Ghost in the Machine. Have you had that one?
We don't get Is it
Parish?
Parish. I wanted to call it Prairie for some reason. Yeah, we don't get Parish here. I did have a collab though that showed up. I forgot what brewery it was with.
Mm-hmm.
It must have been one that we do, get around here though. So who was it? Oh well, I'm not gonna remember, so I'm not gonna.
No, it's always like as soon as we wrap up, you'll remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's keeping you doing YouTube? Like it's like I feel like I mean you were here for like the golden years as I call it. I like basically when Chris Stouts was doing Beer Geek Nation, like those were I always call it like the golden age of BeerTube.
Yeah.
And I feel like ever since he left.
I think I was more of a viewer
Yeah.
back then. Which is something that doing YouTube, like putting out videos and stuff, I try to watch other YouTubers and stuff, and I get to it, a few a day, but there's also so many more, and you gain so many new people, people that start following you, or you start following them, and next thing I know, because like back when I was watching your stuff like every single day, it was like I think it was you and you had your other friend there from New York, Jay, yeah. And it was the you may have just mentioned them too. I'm not sure if they did that beer show thing where they had the host.
It wasn't Better Beer Authority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was watching. It was like I had like 3 channels I was basically watching, and I could watch, all the time, whatever.
Well, no, Beer Geek Nation was that was just Chris Stouts by himself. Although his channel is still there. He just hasn't made any videos in like 10 years.
Yeah. I'm sure I've caught some Beer Geek Nation stuff. That does sound familiar.
Like YouTube, and especially like this niche has like really changed since I started in 2008. And so I always like ask everybody, it's like, what's your, because like nobody's like getting rich on this. In fact, most of us are taking a loss.
Yeah, I spend a lot more money.
Yeah,
I'm never gonna make money off this, and that was never the point either. It's like I said, I started because I felt like, I almost had to, because I was named as being a BeerTube channel, and it's like I'm not on YouTube. I'm just somebody that watches. But then like I've made so many like acquaintances, friends, people I've met, and hang out with, and that's kind of the whole thing. You just building the friendships is more important to me than anything. I at this point don't even want, unless I was going to make like hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, don't get me wrong. If it was going to actually be like something worthwhile, but it's like I don't want to get like the little like, you made 20 cents a month or whatever because you finally made it, because then it's like, oh, now there's like an extra tax thing. It's just gonna be more of a headache to do taxes if I'm gonna not gonna deal with this. So I made measly amount of money and have to do another form of taxes. It's probably going to cost me more money to do that too. So,
well, you know what? Like you can write off like everything, like all these beers in the fridge. These are business expenses, and you end up like taking a loss because I definitely spend more money on beer and like cameras and equipment and all that stuff than I do than I make on YouTube revenue. Like I don't think this channel has ever like gotten a paycheck from YouTube. I have another channel where I talk about, DoorDash and Instacart and Uber and all that stuff. And that makes a lot more money than this one does. Although, well, I don't really post new content to that anymore. So it definitely doesn't make nearly as much as it used to, but I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, I was saying like like what's what's keeping you still doing YouTube? Like we got to get you on Instagram, because like that's where everybody, that's where all the beer people are now.
Dude, I tried Instagram. I am not somebody that sits there and takes pictures. I've gone to, when I was on Instagram and I was trying to be like, oh, cool, you know, I'd go to like a brewery, I'd get a flight, I'd have like half a beer left out of that entire flight. I'd be like, oh, I never took a picture. So I'd take a picture of like a bunch of empty glasses, basically.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like, here's my Instagram. It was just bad. So I gave up on it. Yeah. I'm not really like a social media person. I'm actually like somebody that I never liked being like, I'm not like, I don't like being in crowds really.
Right.
I kind of have a little bit of like a social anxiety. So this kind of, the YouTube thing kind of brought me out of that. Like going live was something that used to like terrify me. And
really?
I've just done it so often now. It's just, I'm just going to be myself. I see a bunch of other people just be themselves, and just try not to overthink things. And you know, whatever, you say something dumb, eventually somebody's going to forget.
I wanted to ask you about your beard, because like you have like this kind of long goatee.
Yeah.
How long you been doing that?
I never thought about how long I was doing it. So I don't grow like it doesn't grow super fast or anything like that. I mean, I trimmed it down maybe the beginning of summer. Trimmed it down. This
it used to be further down here.
Yeah, I don't get like a big bushy beard. I mean, I do keep the sides trimmed. My mustache starts to get into my, you know, it starts to do like curl around the lip. I trim that down. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you shave your head every day?
What's that?
Do you shave your head every day?
No, once a week. Yeah.
Okay.
I dick it.
Yeah, I used to shave my head, but it was like getting too much work. So like what I do now is I have like barber clippers, and I just have it like on the same length, and I just do my entire head the same length. Like I've been looking for baldness cures for years, you know? Like there's all these like doctors on YouTube that say like here's foods you can eat that'll help, like, you know, regrow your hair, but like it's really maybe like if you're in your 20s, like it's starting to go, you know, but it's like once you get to this part, it's like we've passed the point of no return, you know.
Yeah, you've got a lot more hair than I do. If I try to grow this out, basically I become George Costanza. It just grows around here, and that's it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like if you're losing your hair, is you just swap it for head hair for face hair.
Yeah, or back hair. Whatever you want. But yeah, it's one of the other thing I noticed was you know, maybe it's going down now. I don't know. I did gain weight over the years. So I used to kind of keep it really like when I was in my 20s and fit. Pretty short. Kind of, I could do baby face, no problem. Now I do, and it's like, oh wait, there's another. What's that lump? Another chin? What is going on? So this kind of covers that up.
Yeah. I know
it's an optical illusion to look thin.
I know you're kind of pressed on time. This might be a slightly shorter episode than usual. But yeah. So you're in not Vermont, New Hampshire, but I mean, you're like, I'm sure like you're so central. You're probably like right in the middle of New England, where like anything is within a reasonable driving distance. Like, do you go on like a lot of beer road trips?
What's that?
Do you go on like a lot of beer road trips? Like you go to like destination breweries, or like would you drive all the way to Vermont or Connecticut just to like go to a beer store to get a beer or something like that?
I have done them. We just this past last September, group of us, we did a Maine and Vermont trip where we went. Unfortunately, we got up to Maine like way too late. Everything, all the breweries seem to close at like 6 o'clock. I don't get that. So you get up there and it's like oh, we can hit one brewery, you know. So
Probably
we went
like
to
a
one beer
COVID
company.
thing.
Yeah, but
Because I remember
yeah,
I had Kate Bernard on. She used to write for Good Beer Hunting, and yeah, she's in Montana, and she said something like that, like the breweries, they all have to close at like 8 o'clock or something. It's like it's like these old timey post prohibition laws that they just never got rid of, or it's like when when COVID hit, they just had no reason to stay open late because nobody was coming out. You know,
yeah. You
I
just order. You
so
order
you must have
to.
been to Treehouse, right?
I was just at Treehouse last week, last
How
Wednesday.
far is that from you?
Well, it depends on which one I go to.
Oh, they have more than one.
Oh yeah, they get them in. I think they opened one up in New York now too. So you missed
Yeah,
out,
didn't
Chad.
they? Yeah, didn't they buy the old Schmaltz Brewing or yeah, somewhere in Albany or somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, I'm not
'Cause
sure
I'm
exactly where it just like opened up. But they've had them in. They got a few in Massachusetts. So
mhm.
was it? I can't remember the name. It starts with a C. They call it Charleston. I don't care. Wherever it is, one of their first locations, second location, because their first location actually closed because it was just a small brewery. But it's the one they do all their main brewing out of. And then Tewksbury, that's the closest one to me. That's about a 50-minute drive.
Mhm.
They have pizza there too. So if you watch Dave Portnoy at all,
Oh yeah, Barstool.
yeah, he did rate one of their pizzas. I went up, had their pizza for the first time last week. I rated it lower than Dave Portnoy did. So sorry, Treehouse. Yeah, the Parmesan's got to go
Yeah.
off the pizza. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say, since you're
I've gone. I have done some brewery, drives just to go to a brewery. Unfortunately, like the ones that are closest to me, that are like within like a 20-minute drive or whatever,
mm,
are the ones I don't really care for all that
yeah,
much.
that's how everybody is. It's like their local stuff is like only okay.
Yeah. Oh, when I first moved here, it was like within a year, a new brewery opened up, and it's basically within walking distance. And then
Oh, really? Wow.
they basically, yeah, made beer that was not up to my standards. So I said,
So
well,
if somebody was gonna take a beer vacation to your area, like where would you tell them to
Portsmouth.
go?
Go to Portsmouth. Yeah, you're right near Nashua. You're near Massachusetts. You're also close to Maine. Go to Elliott, Maine. You got like Portsmouth. Unfortunately, the Portsmouth brewery closed down.
Yeah, I
That
heard
was
about
a
that.
good place. Yeah. Previous owners of Smutty Nose, which sold to whatever. And
Yeah, didn't they merge with Shipyard? Is that what it is?
I don't know if they merged with Shipyard. I know that they bought out, or they merged. I'm not sure if they bought them out. But Smutty Nose is now brewing. What is the name? It's a Massachusetts brewery. Can't think of it. It's another one of those ones you just find them in the stores all the time. You never really see too much
I'm gonna use
craft.
a free frame of you squinting as
Yeah,
the
that's
thumbnail
me
for this
trying to
video.
really think hard. But yeah. So Portsmouth, it's not only if you haven't had great seafood, it's a great place if you like seafood. Good
Mhm.
atmosphere. Everything basically. If you get like a hotel room, whatever, you can walk to almost everywhere. And if you were to
Yeah.
drive right over the bridge, they're right across the border from Maine. Where I was going with the whole Portsmouth brewery thing was, I can't remember the name of the brewery. This is a problem with me. Memory
Mm.
is shot. Don't blame the beer, but
Mm.
the head brewer from Portsmouth Brewery, who brewed, his recipe was Kate the Great.
Mhm.
Took that with him when he left, and he opened up his own brewery, a tributary brewery, and made Mott the Lesser. It's the same recipe as Kate the Great. So you can get Tributary right across the bridge. Hit Nashua, New Hampshire, where you can get Spyglass. It's a good brewery. Not too far from the other like Massachusetts, so you can get to Treehouse, Trillium, places like that.
Of all the New England states, which one would you say is making the best beer?
Ooh, that's tough because you got one of my favorite breweries is way at the other end. It's closer to Vermont, which is Modest Man. That's like based off New England IPAs alone. I think there's some specialty brews that you can get down in Portsmouth. And then you got Newington as well. Stoneface, can't forget about them. They put out, I'd say Stoneface probably has some pretty solid, because they do everything from standard IPAs to New England IPAs. They put out good porter stouts, pilsners as well. So I think overall, I'd say probably Stoneface is probably one of the ones that, if you're going for an all-out like Berliner Weisse, whatever you want, they put out so many different styles and do a really good job. I don't think they don't get like classified as much, because they don't like have that like I said, Modest Man. Oh, New England IPA, Modest Man, hit up Modest Man. And then certain other breweries do different things. But Stoneface, I would say overall, probably. If you want,
do they bottle and can, or is it tap only?
They do. Yeah, they bottle and can. You have to hit up the brewery specifically for certain beers. Like they put out their RIS, Russian Imperial Stout, every coming up into like fall winter time, and they do like barrel aged. They have a barrel aged program with that, and they have really good food as well. So
I see a shadow on the wall behind you. Hey buddy,
that's Cooper. So he needs to go outside. He's one of the dogs. We have 4 dogs.
Wow.
So. I'll be.
Maybe that'll be the thumbnail. Anyway, we gotta wrap up, because I know you gotta run. Actually, I gotta run too, because I gotta work I have to be up at like 5 a.m. tomorrow. So thanks to Jesse, aka Bumpyisms, for doing this, and be sure to check out our Tuesday Night Beer School episode on Vienna Lager. That was really interesting class. And be sure to everybody, if you're not already watching Bumpyisms, check out his channel. So thanks Jesse for doing this. Sorry, I don't have any beer left, so I'll have to mime cheering you or cheersing you.
I got just a little left. I left it just that. Yeah, Chad, thank you for having me on your beer school and being my teacher, and on the podcast as well.
All right, I'll see you later.
All right, cheers.
Bye.